We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. Good morning. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 on this Thursday, June 11th. You may have noticed right away that I am not Chris Ham.
Air Jordan 1s going for just $69. You guys, are you kidding me?
If y'all love steals and deals, gotta check out Whatnot.
You can find insane
But we'll
deals
play.
on just about anything.
Everything is live chat, you feel me?
Brand new. Beautiful vintage condition.
I'm having a little problem here.
This is what I bought from Whatnot.
And if you are not checking out Whatnot, you're missing out.
Nine
We begin tonight with breaking news. Released late today, the United States launched.
You good there, Brian? Got some audio interrupting on your end there. I don't hear it now.
Can you hear me okay? Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right. I am sorry. I'm having some kind of technical meltdown, and my deep apologies. I'm hearing a lot of stuff in my headphones that it seems to be unrelated to this program. So maybe you can work on that for me while I try to continue with what I was talking about. Talking about the situation in Iran, we got a situation with new developments this morning. President Donald Trump is talking to Fox and Friends this morning in a wide-ranging telephone interview, and we're getting a lot more details about his plans for Iran. Now, if you've been following the story, you know that there has been an uptick in what I would call rather low-level kinetic action, Iran attacking and the United States attacking Iran. But he apparently, according to the president this morning, he is lined up very much in favor of more action against Iran tonight. Here, let me give you just what has been said in the last couple of hours. This is from ABC News, their assessment of it. President Donald Trump announced major combat operations against Iran on February 28th with massive joint Israeli strikes targeting military, government, and infrastructure sites. Following the announcement of the 2-week ceasefire, Pakistan failed to reach an agreement with the Iranians. They were the go-between. And so now he says that he will be doing big action. President Trump, here it is. President Trump, 8 minutes ago, confirmed that the U.S. will continue to bomb Iran on Thursday, but speculated that Americans may not have the appetite for ground operations, which would see the U.S. seize pieces of Iranian territory. Yeah, there will be more bombing tonight. It'll be bigger, bigger, more powerful, Trump said in an interview with Fox News. Trump said his preference was to always take Karg Island, which is a major Iranian oil processing site in the Persian Gulf, but said that he did not want to have boots on the ground and wondered aloud if Americans would accept such an operation. But look, my preference has always been to take Karg Island. I don't know that Americans have the stomach for that, to be honest. Trump noted the process of seizing Iran territory would be a little longer process. I'm not sure that America has a long time. It's a longer process, something that's a guarantee if I want to do it, and I think that's true, but I'm not sure the country has the appetite for it. I think he's right. Later during the interview, Trump said he didn't want to use ground troops, but said the U.S. would walk into Iran tomorrow and take over the whole place. So he's talking tough, and said that here it is. President Donald Trump, another version of this, said that he would continue to bomb Iran and teased that American forces might be used to take over Karg Island and other Iranian oil infrastructure points in the not too distant future. He did not say what the timeline was for such an operation, what it would be, or what kind of force would be required to execute such a mission that would see the U.S. taking and holding Iranian territory. The president yesterday talked about the need to hit them hard.
So we'll see what happens. But we hit them hard yesterday.
The U.S. Army helicopter crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz
turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were really close to a deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers because you know what? They dealt with some very stupid presidents. I have to say that. I'm embarrassed to say it. Some very stupid people were sitting here. Yeah.
Yep. So he says that, we're going to hit them hard. And he says that when he was asked about, the side effect of all of this in the American economy, that is increased inflation because gas prices are higher, he said he loves the inflation numbers that came out. I'm sure that's a soundbite that'll be used in a 60-second political ad against him at some point. But he said he loved it because it wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to be, and that he thinks that the numbers suggest that as soon as whatever happens in Iran is dealt with, the economy will come bouncing back.
The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now, something you didn't know. We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be, we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombers.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with what he's saying there. I mean, yes, we were just cranking. I mean, the economy was just coming back up on its tippy toes, and everything was leaning forward, and the numbers were just amazingly good. GDP up, and jobs are in good shape. But there is that little problem with inflation, and inflation is where a lot of people live. I mean, they are very, very, how do I put this? Very, very focused on gas prices when they go up, because it's where they live. They've got to figure out the way to put gas in that tank to go to work so they can continue to, have a job. And I mean, it's just a major drag on everybody's personal economy. And it then ripples through the economy in an ugly way because, everything takes gas, diesel, some kind of power source to get it to market. And so, if it's going to cost more to get it to market, every single thing across the board can tend to rise up. Look, the inflation numbers, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the program, not great, not horrible, Certainly better than when Biden was in office and inflation rose to an amazing 9.1%. Yeah, I mean, nothing like that. We're down in the fours and, yeah, is it a problem? Sure. Is it a concern? Yes. Do we have to look at the future midterm elections and worry about them? Yeah, we need to start thinking about that. But the bottom line is, Trump said all of that pales in comparison to what would happen if Iran got a nuclear weapon. He's right about that. He's so right about that. And when I hear people on our side and on the other side criticize this president for his what they call his adventurism in Iran, I would say to them, so what do you think the outcome would be if Iran lobbed a nuclear missile at Israel? By the way, during all of this, we learned that they had a missile that could fly a lot further than we understood that they had a missile that could. It flew all the way almost to, what was it? It went well to the continent of India. 4,000-kilometer missile. Now, if you draw a circle around where these missile sites are, 4,000 miles, that means that he could deliver weapons onto the capitals of Europe. We didn't know that when this all started. You marry a nuclear weapon to that kind of weapon, and what's to stop them from doing an intercontinental ballistic missile with given enough time? And you've got a real problem. Iran will hold the world hostage. They are bad actors. They are the worldwide biggest sponsor of terrorism. They are a negative influence on every other country in the world. And I don't understand how we cannot understand as Americans that this is something that we just had to do. Somebody had to put on the daddy pants. Somebody had to go in there and make sure that they weren't going to put together a nuclear weapon in just a few days and hold the entire world hostage. So when I hear people criticize this president, I want to say, so what would you have said if Iran got a nuclear weapon and tried to use it? You would say that Trump hadn't done his job. It's no win situation for Trump, no matter what he does. But I think, yes, I understand. It hurts me. It hurts you. We're all paying higher prices, and I get it. But the bottom line is, all of that would pale in comparison into a world held hostage by a nuclear Iran. So I think he had to do it. Okay, so there is, I think, some confusion out there this morning. This from townhall.com. President Trump told reporters on Wednesday, that was yesterday, that the United States is taking millions of barrels of oil from Iran amid a U.S. blockade of Iranian points. Now, Trump did say taking it out, but I don't think he meant we're seizing it for our personal use. I don't know. It's a little unclear, but I don't think that's what he meant. You know, I pardon me, I speak Trump, so I'll try to interpret this for you. But I think when he says taking millions of barrels of oil from Iran, that means that perhaps at one point these tankers were headed for, Iran but I think most of the oil that came out of there came from other Middle Eastern countries, and they've been stuck there for some time. And when he says we're taking them out of the Strait of Hormuz in the darkness of night, and Iran's not able to do anything about it, because we control the waterways. From ABCnews.com. Trump claims more than 100 million barrels of oil and 200 ships have safely made their way through the Strait of Hormuz. So does that mean that, to some degree, the strait is open? Soon after President Trump said in the Oval Office Wednesday that the United States has been secretly ferrying millions of barrels of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, President Trump announced on social media that more than 100 million barrels of oil and more than 200 commercial ships have successfully traveled through the strait. The president referred to it as a secret mission that he said was conducted last month amid the ongoing war with Iran, which has led the strait to be closed to regular commercial shipping. ABC News could not immediately verify the accuracy of Trump's claim and the number of oil barrels and ships that have passed through the Strait of Hormuz. So there you have it. Apparently that is happening in a big way. Look, the kinetic action will pick up. We'll see more. Maybe it will drive the Iranians back to the table. I think everything that Trump is doing is designed to try to get the Iranians back to the table in a serious way. Apparently, he thinks we're very close, and we've been very close for about 2 weeks now. But Iran has gone silent, and he's trying to urge them to get back to the table. Maybe we have to go back in there and bop them on the nose again and take out some infrastructure before they get the serious message that we're not done with them, and they need to get serious about negotiating with the United States on a peaceful outcome here. And on that note, it is 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock Store. And guys, Father's Day is coming up. We talked about what you need to do for mom for Mother's Day, but Father's Day, that's the big one. Everybody knows. And we got some great deals happening at the Glock Store. The perfect gift, Glock Store gift cards. Perfect for Father's Day. You can buy them in any denomination, which is my favorite option for a specific activity, like a 1-hour range session with a private instructor, including firearm rental. And yes, even if your dad has a Glock or 2 already, or even 10, the firearm rental is a great addition. He can try out the new Gen 6 Glocks, the latest red dot optics, and more, as well as suppressors like Dead Air, Surefire, Silencer Co. And if for some strange reason dad doesn't want to jump into the range, he can use that gift card to buy any of the great gun gear the Glock Store is famous for. A Glock Store gift card, that is the Dad's Day gift of choice, and I guarantee you, your dad is going to love it. The Glock Store is minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online. Glockstore.com.
Thanks. President Trump being transparent again. We'll tell you what he's saying about his plans for Iran tonight. It's coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, Joan Jones. How are you
Hello
doing
there,
over there in the
Brian.
little news closet? Doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing great over here.
Well, I think we should have. Maybe I should have just just started over. Gone back to the beginning after that rough start. The fact of the matter is that when you're sitting here, I've got this gigantic screen that goes all the way across, and I got like 55 windows open of stuff that I'm going to use, and you can't find the thing that's making noise to turn it off. And I apologize for that.
Stuff happens, Brian.
They say you're not supposed to ever look backwards. I've always
That's
been
right.
reminded of the movie Gumball Rally, because there was a scene where I think it was an Italian race car driver. He's getting ready to start the race, and he takes his rear view mirror and he breaks it off. And he says, "What's behind you is not important."
There you go. That's really
so,
good advice.
Isn't that great advice to
Yes.
put it behind you? As Ted Lasso would say, be a goldfish. Don't let things that go wrong worry you more than about 3 seconds. That's the memory of a goldfish, is about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's what they say anyway. But anyway, I apologize for the technical issues, as we say. Everything going well with you these days, Joan?
Oh, yeah. It's such a busy time here. And so having Monty Fritz on this morning and John Rose on, Dan's just knocking it out of the ballpark with all that.
Yes. I know, and it is a place that if you care about what's going on in your local community, you need to be listening to that show every morning. It keeps you really plugged in. I think that that he does, and I think this station does a great job of keeping people focused on the local issues as well as the national issues and whatever's going on in the world. We do our very best, and I think this station is. If you really care about the community, then you have to be listening to know what's going on in the world around you. And
Absolutely.
I think he's doing a great job. Here's a little helpful news you can use thing. If you go downtown to Nashville and you have to park in a parking garage or a parking lot and you have to pay for it, watch your account because there have been some people who have been overcharged. Ann McCormick, according to WSMV, said she parked her car for about an hour in a parking management company garage on Friday, but the meter charged her for 96 hours.
I saw this story.
And you say, "What? I didn't stay there that long." And so you start trying to reach out and, finding a human being at some of these companies and getting them on the line to talk about your issue is doggone near impossible.
What?
But the good folks at Channel 4 got them their money back.
Did you see why they kept on charging her? What the problem was?
Well, they have license plate readers.
Yes.
Just, the city may not have any license plate readers, but that doesn't mean that they aren't in Nashville. They got license plate readers, and they're supposed to, when you go out, they're supposed to catch that and log you out and say you left the parking lot or the parking garage at so-and-so time. Apparently it malfunctioned. And so there were a lot of people. Another driver said got charged $366 for more than 142 hours.
Yeah. Some people were even saying that they got charged for parking in a garage that they've never been to.
Yeah, well, I think that can happen
crazy.
too. Yeah, I know these license plate readers. I mean,
Makes you wonder what they're reading out on the roads, right?
Yeah, you wonder how accurate they are. But I got to tell you, everybody in Nashville, this council doesn't like the idea of license plate readers, but they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You're just not aware. They're there. They're just not. They don't belong to the city.
Somebody's watching you.
A lot of people are watching you all the time. Well, on that cheery note, it's time for the news, and we'll try to do better in the second half hour. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in for Chris Hand.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump really is the most transparent president. He's letting Iran know what's coming next.
There will be more bombing tonight. It'll be bigger, more powerful. Don't forget, we've knocked out all of their anti-aircraft. They don't have any they have nothing. I mean, they may get lucky with a shoulder weapon or something, but for the most part, they have no defense.
President Trump speaking on Fox News this morning. The president also said his preference has always been to take Karg Island. Other news of the day, a new warning about lithium-ion batteries. A Spring Hill man telling News 2's Andy Cordan about a scary incident at his home.
After hearing a small explosion, Joseph Acapenti opens his garage door, only to see his remote control airplane battery burning like an 1,800-degree flare.
Flames were just shooting out from where the batteries were. It wasn't like a campfire glow. It was shooting out almost like at the back of a jet engine or a flare.
Yeah, luckily his family got out of the house and called 911. Spring Hill Fire Chief Craig Temple telling News 2, you should never leave your batteries plugged in and charged. A year after a damaging fire at the downtown library parking garage, the first 3 floors of that garage are now being reopened to the public. Good news for sure, but this volunteer at the library spoke to Channel 4.
Well, it's a bit encouraging, but 3 floors would hardly house the people that work at the federal courthouse that park here, or the people that are going to come work on the garage because they'll be parking in the garage too.
Yeah, the library itself reopened in March. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the simplest, least stressful way to sell your home. You go to our website, you fill out a quick form, we set an appointment, we bring you an all-cash offer. Literally, there's no lockbox on the front of your house, there's no showings, we pay all cash, we close in as little as 21 days, stress-free. We've helped thousands of homeowners just like you sell your home the hassle-free way with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate.
It is 37 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and so glad to be with you, filling in for Chris Hand today on the Chris Hand Show. I'll be here today. I'll be tomorrow. And then, did I really retire? Or sometimes it doesn't feel like it. I'll be filling in all next week for Dan Mandis as he takes a week of vacation. So if you're sick of me, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be around for the next few days and happy to be here. Love to get back on the air. As I mentioned, I have a lot of things that I need to say, even in retirement, and my French bulldogs get really, really tired of hearing me all the time, telling them the stuff that I would normally tell you. So they appreciate the fact that I have an outlet here. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful day. Going to be warm today, and I think rain is still coming later this week. So try to be very careful because it's going to be in the 90s today, and very humid, and you can get yourself in trouble in a real hurry if you don't hydrate. I hate to tell you that, but I mean, everybody says, well, why are you telling me things that are just common sense, Wilson? And I feel that way. I don't run with sharp objects in your hand. All these things that I think I should tell you that everybody knows. But every year we have people who end up going to the hospital, people who die from heat exhaustion. And so, take it easy. It can get to you real quick, especially when the humidity levels are up and you can't sweat and evaporate all that sweat and stay cool. All right, so there you have it. I want to talk a little bit about the data center that is being planned for the area next to the Nashville Zoo. On one hand, I have been the beneficiary of AI, artificial intelligence. It is a remarkable thing, and clearly, we are going through. I mean, the last time I saw anything like this was back during the 80s when the internet boom took off, and it was a very game-changing dynamic. It changed the nature of the economy. It gave people a lot of power to have ability to operate in that environment, sending email. I mean, I remember a time when there was no email. How could we ever get along without email now? But I mean, all of this stuff and the technology is good. We're going through a revolution right now, and it's not just the internet, and it's not just computers. It's artificial intelligence and the things that it can do for you. I mean, I use it for all kinds of stuff, and I don't use it to write any copy or anything like that, but because I feel like that's what I do, and I don't want to give that up to artificial intelligence. But it's a wonderful tool for research. It's a wonderful tool for finding out anything you need to know and having explained to you in a very short fashion in terms that you can understand, and you can talk to it. You just talk to it. I mean, I talk to Grok all the time, and Grok answers and gives me information on the fly. It can really be a beneficial thing, and it's not going away. But in order to have artificial intelligence, you have to have these data centers, and they are controversial. I have done stories before. I couldn't pull one up today, but I've done many stories that talk about the incredible need for electricity, the heat that they generate because they use up so much electricity requires that you cool these servers with water, so you have to have water, and it evaporates the water at a pretty good rate, so that, that little AI search that you just did, you would be shocked to know how much electricity that took and how much water it took for you to do that simple search. So they are controversial. When you plop them into a community, you have to think about things like, noise. You got to think about things like the electricity demands, and do you have enough electricity to supply that to the grid without hurting anybody else? Do you have a water supply that will keep this cool, and what does that do to that water supply? Does it, use water in a way that perhaps leaves us stranded for water in the future? These are all things that you have to work out. I mean, I think long term, these data centers, much of them, the big ones, are going to end up in places like, Greenland, Iceland, places, cooler climes, Antarctica. Some people have talked about putting them on Antarctica so they could be cooled cheaply. But, how do you have to have a nuclear power supply to do that. And, so that's off. Elon Musk has talked about the idea of putting these data centers in orbit and letting the cold of space help them cool these data centers, and the power supply would come from the solar panels that the satellites have. So that's a possibility in the future. But for the short term, they're being built everywhere. From Tennessee Star, the Nashville Zoo is pushing back against a proposed data center plan for a site next to the zoo, launched an online petition urging people to sign and resist the proposed data center. To date, as of Tuesday, the petition has been signed by almost 363,000 people. The Nashville Planning Commission will have a public hearing on the proposed data center on Thursday. That's today. According to Nashville Zoo, the data center would be 1.6 acres on a 23.5 acre lot. Uses 50 megawatts of power, enough to support between 30 and 50,000 homes. Think about that for a moment. For the zoo's 3,000 animals and neighborhoods already facing economic challenges, this proposed development is especially concerning. Constant noises from cooling systems and generators and light pollution from bright security and operational lighting can dramatically affect animal behavior, disrupting their natural photo periods of rhythms, the Nashville Zoo noticed. The stress on the animals from these factors can be detrimental to our conservation efforts, especially with our clouded leopard breeding program, it added. This from the Tennessee Star. The company is called DC Blocks. They opened up a data center in Chattanooga in 2017. Local governments, the Tennessee Star reports, in Tennessee are starting to resist these data centers. Knoxville Mayor India Kincannon said in a letter Monday she will introduce an ordinance to seek to impose a one-year moratorium on large data centers in the city. In addition, the Knox County Commission will discuss a resolution on June 22nd that bans the construction of data centers in the county until June 30th of 2027. WKRN, 3 stories tall, site plan for proposed data center near Nashville Zoo, bigger than originally thought. Opposition continues to grow over a proposed data center near the Nashville Zoo. Updated site renderings show plans for 2 data center buildings along with a substation and security building on property adjacent to the zoo. 669,000 square foot data center. Now we learn there's a second building and it's going to be 3 stories tall. It's a huge complex, much larger than we were initially led to believe, writes WSMV. Now, I love me some Brad Paisley. If you look if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll notice that I have a picture of Brad Paisley on my back wall. I admire him as a musician. I am a big fan of the music of Sheryl Crow. I don't like their politics most of the time, but I love their music. And it's odd for me to find myself on the same side of the equation as Brad Paisley and Sheryl Crow, but they have signed this petition. Here's this story from the Tennessean says 380,000 people so far. So, every time you check it, it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. Data center proposed near Nashville Zoo includes second building 3 times as large as the first, WSMV. So what you have here is a lot of people who are coming up against the, look, I'll tell you where I'm at it. I am not against data centers, but I think there needs to be some thoughtful conversation about the demands they place on our electrical grid, on our water system, and I think that would be very important. And what are the plans? Let's say we're in a situation where we get, as sometimes we have seen in the past, we have rolling blackouts because it's 110 degrees outside in the summer or very, very cold in the winter, and the demands that are needed. Are the data centers going to close down in order to make sure that the rest of us have? So what are the agreements that are in place about the use of electricity, about the use of water? And at what points would you shut down the data center? And is that even a possibility? So I think there are a lot of questions that need to be asked here that maybe we're not asking, or if we haven't asked, I haven't seen the answers to it. I'm not against the idea of AI. I think we need to be cautious with it, but I think there's more good than negative that comes from it. So I don't have any opposition to AI or the data centers, but let's put them in places where they're not going to disturb a zoo full of animals. Somebody wrote in one of these stories, well, if it was next to a school, we'd be concerned. Is there any real difference in a community between the impact on a school or the impact of a zoo that's been there forever? The zoo was there first. I don't have a lot of patience for like people who will move next to an airport and then complain about the planes. But that's not the situation here. The zoo was there first, and the data center is the new addition. And yes, we're going to need them. And yes, we need to find a way to support them. And yes, I think they are generally going to be something that we are going to be dealing with for some time now before the great solutions come along, like small nuclear power generating systems that utilities can purchase. The companies like this can purchase to provide their own electricity. There's all kinds of ways to make electricity, and a lot of ways to make these things run. But have we thought them all through? So I would say to our elected leaders, find out the answer to these questions, and then if this is not going to work. If this is, then let's go ahead and pull the plug now before we go any further and find a place where we can do this. But I have a feeling, and this is the danger, is that everybody now is going to go NIMBY, 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 NIMBY. Not in my backyard. and so I think we're going to have a NIMBY situation with these things. We need them. They're going to have to be built. We're going to have to deal with it. In this one, it doesn't seem like it was why would you want to place something like that so controversial next to a beloved zoo with clouded leopards? And I'll say it again, maybe if we had some partly cloudy leopards, it wouldn't be so bad. Pa-dum-pum. All right. In a moment, I want to talk about, as we're talking about AI, this is one of the downsides, how it is impacting our young people. We'll do more of that in just a moment. Right now, it is 50 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock on Super Talk. Brian Wilson in for Chris Hand.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. I'm here with Chris from USS, United Structural Systems. He's checking out my basement, my foundation, my crawl space to see if there's anything wrong. Fingers crossed. All right, so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is we found some cracks in my basement wall. The good news, I've got Chris here who's going to walk me through the next steps.
Yes, so unfortunately, your house has been subject to the pressure of the dirt. The hydrostatic pressure, heavy dirt pushes on foundation walls, and you got a little bit of of what we call bowing. So that wall is pushed in a little bit, but we have a lifetime warranty solution for that. So we install, usually in a day or two, this can be done in most situations. We install carbon fiber straps, which keep the wall from moving inward at any point in the future. It's a lifetime warranty for anybody that ever owns this house. So it's a quick and routine thing that we do, but it yields some long-lasting benefits.
It's a great selling point if you want to sell your house.
Absolutely. Good thing about our warranties is they're not only transferable, like the contract says, they're automatically transferred when you sell your house. So you don't have to sign any paperwork or even send us an email saying that you sold your house. Warranty would transfer to the next owner.
Coming up, President Trump says taking Carg Island is definitely not off the table. We've got that and more coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I mean, I guess he says he sort of likes the idea. He always wanted to do it, but he doesn't think the American people would stand to have boots on the ground, even in a limited fashion. I think he's right on that, don't you?
I do. I also think that Americans would rather see him get it done and over with, the big bang, just like make it stop and get past this. And if it takes taking Carg Island, let's do that.
Yeah, listen, we could take Carg Island. Holding Carg Island, you'd put more, people at risk to do that. But,
True.
I mean, look at Venezuela. I mean, that's a perfect example of how incredibly powerful our military is compared to every other military in the world, including Iran's. That doesn't mean that they aren't dangerous. It just means that I think we would have the upper hand. But I think he's right. I think the American people, I don't think the argument has been laid out before them how important it is that we denuclearize Iran. I think they would do well if they would just tell us more about how close they were. Give us, it's classified data, and you got to worry about protecting your method and sources and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think the American people would have a much greater understanding if every single time he opened his mouth, he talked about, we had to do this. We didn't have any other choice.
Yes.
I mean, because the alternative was, Israel being destroyed by a nuclear weapon in very short order. that is a very different, when you tell people that, then they go, well, yeah, I kind of see that, right?
Yeah.
They get that. So I don't know. I just think it's, they're not doing themselves a lot of good in their messaging, I would think at times, because I think there's a very compelling case to be made. I'm just not sure they're always making it. So anyway, enough of that. We were talking about AI a moment ago and how we got data centers going in everywhere. AI is in our lives and certainly in the lives of our young people in a big way. According to an article that I read here on CNN.com, today's teenagers and young adults are struggling emotionally. Some of them are turning not only to friends, family members, and therapists, but also to artificial intelligence. Nearly 1 in 5 adolescents and young adults have used AI chatbots for advice or to help when they felt nervous, upset, anxious, according to a new study published by the Journal for Pediatrics. Researchers also found many of these young people use chatbots repeatedly, consider the advice helpful, suggesting that AI is already becoming a part of the mental health information ecosystem for millions. And the reason is why? Well, because it's there and it's available anytime. They believe that nearly 43 million young people nationwide have tapped into AI intelligence for mental health concerns. 19% reported that the people that they looked at reported doing so. 4 in 10 use chatbots at least monthly. Interestingly enough, young people who had recently discussed their mental health with a physician said they were more likely to report using AI chatbots, which suggests the tools are being employed alongside traditional sources of support. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, if it helps people, I guess it's a good thing. It is there at a time when, it'd be very hard for you to maybe book an appointment with a therapist. There's somebody there, I don't know, AI. I just worry about the kind of advice perhaps they're getting. Very, very important topic for our times. It is 59 minutes now past the hour of 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. In a minute, after the news with Joan Jones, we'll get into a discussion of what's going on with the midterms. That involves some things that are happening with Epstein and things that happened with the Plattner race in Maine. Economic news, and we'll talk about the truth being out there. The latest in UAP news is all straight ahead right here on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in for Chris Hand.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Iran is likely preparing for more U.S. airstrikes coming tonight. President Trump's already announced his plans for tonight, and Kharg Island, he says, is definitely in play.
It's decimated, and they're dying to make a deal. They want to make a deal so badly. And they're really in submission. They just don't know it yet. Okay, to be honest with you. They just don't know it yet. And we are talking to them and all. But, look, my preference has always been take Kharg Island.
Yeah, he was speaking to Fox News there. Kharg Island, of course, a key military oil production hub for the Iranian regime. The Trump administration is going after so-called super sponsors. Those are people who sponsored more than 3 unaccompanied children into the U.S., in a smuggling operation during the Biden administration. Here's Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche earlier this morning.
Today, we are announcing the indictments of 3 individuals, Maritza Kawik Koch, her brother, Carlos Agustin Kawik Koch, and Gladys Marina Call Chen. This was out of the Northern District of Ohio. All 3 are illegal aliens from Guatemala who allegedly took part in a wide-ranging conspiracy to smuggle more than a dozen children into the United States by scamming the system and exploiting the loopholes created by the last administration. This is one example, one indictment, but it is not unique.
Yeah, in fact, Blanche says the administration is still searching for 300,000 unaccompanied minors who disappeared after arriving in the U.S. Crime news. Police in Ohio identifying the suspect in the shooting that injured 12 people at a festival in Toledo on Sunday. However, they don't have 20-year-old Kenai Taylor in custody yet. Police say the incident was a shootout between two rival gangs. And in Mississippi, a couple of brothers charged in the shooting of a sheriff's deputy during a traffic stop. They've been denied bail. 18 and 19-year-olds Cortavian and Cortavius Hobbs are charged with attempted capital murder. A Cheatham County deputy arrested and then placed on leave after a reported domestic assault. Here's News 2's Haley Walgus.
Deputy Greg Darius James was arrested last night in Clarksville. Police say he strangled his girlfriend after she told him to leave during an argument.
James' first court date is June 26th. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, good afternoon, or good morning. It's still morning. Yes, read the clock, Brian. It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, in for Chris Hand. I'll be here today. I'll be here tomorrow. Next week, by the way, filling in for Dan Mandis, who's going to take some well-deserved vacation time. So, you can't get shed of me. I'm like a bad penny, and I just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. I'd like to talk in this second hour of the Chris Hand Show about the midterm election. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Brian, there's something happening right now I thought I should tell you about.
Please, absolutely.
There's breaking news that the Pentagon is on lockdown right now. Some floors evacuated. There is seen on the floors of the Pentagon people in gas masks. This is something that I'll definitely be following up on. But I just wanted to make sure that you know about this incident. It's being reported on CNN right now. Again, the Pentagon is on lockdown with some of the floors there evacuated. We'll keep an eye on it and bring you up to date when I know more.
You know, I don't know if you ever spent any time over there. It is a remarkably huge. It's I think one of the largest buildings on the planet.
Yes.
It's huge,
Yes.
and 5 concentric rings in the Pentagon with a courtyard in the middle. And you know, this I hope it's not bad, because this harkens back to me. This sort of makes my heart sort of race, because I remember very much 9/11 and learning that the Pentagon had been hit that morning. So I'm hoping that this is maybe it's not as bad. Sometimes there's an initial reaction, and the thing that I would caution you about is, and I'm sure Joan will be all over this, and I'll start looking for more information about it myself. But the bottom line is that you need to understand that in a situation like this, it is often very fluid information.
Yes.
And sometimes it turns out to be a big deal. I remember one time being, in D.C. and near the Israeli embassy, there was what they thought was a bomb, and it shut down roadways over there for hours and hours and hours and hours, and it turned out to be a deflated soccer ball.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, those kind of things. I mean, you want to be careful, but sometimes it turns out to be something. Sometimes it turns out to be, I don't know, somebody dropped a bottle of something and the vapors were bad. I don't know, but who knows what this is? But it doesn't sound good. I'm watching Fox News right now and not seeing anything.
They're not saying anything about it. CNN says that a source says responders are wearing full gas masks, chemical protection suits. They've evacuated some floors, not all of them, and it's not clear what section of the Pentagon. They're saying that right now it doesn't look like anything nefarious. They're still very much figuring out exactly what's going on. Police who are there are chemical hazmat gear. We know that authorities have been responding with hazmat teams. Sources telling CNN that they have been told it's a sort of an air quality issue, perhaps a biomedical issue. They are still responding. I'm just reading this as the scroll is continuing on CNN. Very orderly fashion of evacuations. They've been communicating to people within the building to make sure that they are either locked down in the affected areas or evacuated. A Pentagon spokesperson named Sean Parnell saying that it's an air quality issue necessitating precautionary measures.
Sounds like, I mean, it's an immensely complex building, and in an immensely complex building, it can be anything. It could be air conditioning vapors, or it could be a whole host of things that happen. And there is also a thing. Then I'll just throw this out here because we don't really know what we've got. There's a thing where people in a situation like this often they react off of the emotions and the excitation of other people.
Yes.
And it turns into sort of chaotic situation, and something that started out as being very minor in a panic situation can grow, and people have reactions that perhaps are psychosomatic in some cases. I don't know, but one way or the other that can happen. Yeah. It is a well-known psychological phenomenon in situations like this. But I mean, we don't really know what we've got. We've got a situation. Please, Joan, would you do me a favor?
Shall I break in when I know more?
Absolutely.
Okay, I can do that.
Don't hesitate. Nothing that I'm doing is more important than breaking news, because as my old friend Shep Smith used to say, breaking news changes everything.
I miss him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's a guy, by the way, who left Fox News and went over to MSNBC and vanished.
It's just the great vaporization. Honestly, he just disappeared.
Yeah. You know what? I've been reading a lot. I've been reading this book, The Medium. The Medium is the Message. Marshall McLuhan. Actually, the name of the book is The Medium is the Massage, but his key point was the medium, the platform, is what makes it powerful, not necessarily the people who fill time on the platform. It is the medium itself. Fox News, very powerful. WTN, very powerful.
Yes.
And people, think, well, I've been very, very powerful here, and I've gotten great ratings over here. And then you go over to another news organization and you vanish because it's the medium that matters. And there's some deep broadcasting philosophy for you. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Stay on it for me, Joan.
You betcha.
And again, don't hesitate to break in with anything that you get. We're talking. I want to talk, if I can, very quickly about what's going on with the midterm elections. Hakeem Jeffries laid out what he thinks the Democrats will be focused on going into the midterm elections, which, of course, it's a lot about Congress and a third of the Senate. A third of the Senate is up, and all of Congress is up in the midterm elections. And this is the time in a situation where you have a party that's definitely in power, and the Republicans are definitely in power. We have the House, we have the Senate, we have the White House, we have the majority of justices, the conservative justices on the Supreme Court. It's a 6-3 Supreme Court sometimes. And so, we are definitely the party in power, and traditionally in midterm elections, the party in power does not do well. They suffer. And so what are the Democrats going to do? Well, apparently they've decided that they're going to hyper-focus on affordability, on driving down the high cost of living. They think that's their winning issue. Hakeem Jeffries, according to Politico, made it clear this week that affordability is House Democrats' primary focus as the minority leader launched an effort to turn the party's cost of living message into actual legislation ahead of the November midterms. There's just a problem with that, according to Politico. Not all Democrats agree that affordability is the number one job. Multiple top lawmakers interviewed this week said they hope an incoming House Democrat majority would prioritize other issues, ranging from voting rights to anti-corruption measures to simply rolling back Trump administration initiatives. Well, they want to fight this whole thing about voter ID and efforts to make the voting process have more integrity. They don't want that. They don't want integrity in the voting system. We are against the waste of taxpayer money. They are for the waste of taxpayer money. If they want to take on those issues, that'll work out just fine for them. I think Hakeem Jeffries, if I were a Democrat, and thank goodness I'm not, but if I were a Democrat, I think this would be the way I would go. I would go after affordability. Now, the question is that a rope-a-dope strategy? In other words, if they go in and they start talking about the high cost of everything, and then Trump ends the war in Iran, the gas prices come down, the economy starts to percolate on all 8 cylinders, everything's cranking as you get to Labor Day. Labor Day is the key. When you get to Labor Day, we need to be done with what's going on in Iran. We need to be ready to move on. And I guarantee you, if you just give us a short period of time of quiet prosperity, where we can let the economy do the things that it's poised to do if it weren't for Iran. I mean, I support what the president's doing in Iran, but it has an impact and it does put us more at risk. Now, look, we were probably going to be at risk anyway, given that's the history of the thing is midterm elections don't go well for the party in power. But I still think that we might be able to squeak it out if we can just get things settled quickly. And I think this is something when you hear the president say, we had to take a hit. Well, he knew what he was doing, but I think he's got a plan, and I'm going to hope that he can get it all done before we get any closer to the midterm elections. This is from Politico as well, talking about economics. Trump allies fear it's too late to reverse economic woes. I don't think it's too late. Less than a quarter of Americans approve of how the president is managing cost of living issues, according to a poll released this week. See, I think most Americans, if you explain to them why this was necessary, they'd be a lot more understanding about the fact that they're paying more for gas. But I could be wrong. People always vote their own self-interest and they vote their own pocketbooks. And that's why you see stories like this. It is concerning. Trump has said some things that, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I love his policies, but sometimes he's got a diarrhea of the mouth, as they say, and he just goes on and on and on. And some things that pop out are a bit ill-considered, like he said here that somebody asked him about inflation numbers that had just come out at 4.2%. And he said, I love the inflation numbers. I don't think that he means it, that he really loves it, but it's not as bad as he thought it would be. Well, here's what he said.
The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now.
So he turned it into a thing. We're wrapping things up. It's going to be okay. He is right, though, that it seems that he does understand in talking about Karg Island, which is very much in the news today. Will Trump, invade Karg Island, the big petroleum processing island just off the coast of Iran? Will they go after Karg Island? And he said, I just don't know if the American people would stand for boots on the ground, even if it were a limited operation. Well, there you go. We'll see how that all plays out. Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh takes on a starring role in Maine's Senate race. It's Collins versus Plattner. And Trump doesn't have a very high opinion of this guy, Plattner. The so-called Nazi nipple guy. Here is what he had to say. He didn't mince any words.
I mean, he's worse than any human being that's ever run for office, probably. I don't know him. I don't want to say bad, but I just, look, nobody's ever had a record like that. And you'll have Schumer. He goes crazy over this or that, or Epstein. This guy. Why are they talking about him? He said, well, we don't know, but this guy's got a rap sheet. I've never seen anything like it. He's a thug. I know thugs. I had to deal with thugs. I built a lot of buildings. I dealt with the toughest people on earth. I dealt with worse than thugs. This guy's a thug. He's a low-level thug. And he's running to be a senator. But this is a thug. He's a cheap, no-good person. And I watch these senators, the Democrats, and, well, we don't really know. You do know. He's as bad. I've never seen a person like that run for office.
Do you think he believes the guy's a thug? I think he thinks he's a thug. I'm not sure. But he's running against Susan Collins, and, Republicans have a love-hate relationship with Susan Collins because she votes against the president a lot. But the president is going to hold his nose and support Susan Collins.
She's not my best friend at all. These guys are. I get along well, but I have some. But she's a sane person. And she's a person that never missed a vote in many years. She's had 10,000 votes. She had 10,000 votes. She never missed a vote. Unfortunately, because sometimes she voted against me. Look, she's a sane woman. And she's a respected person. Maybe a little different ideology than me. But this guy is a thug. He's a fake thug. He's a phony. I've made a lot of money picking out phonies. He's a real phony. He's a bad person.
Bad person? He's a thug. He's a phony. This whole thing with Susan Collins, the Democrats are going to try to wrap Brett Kavanaugh around her neck because she was one of the key votes that put him in the Supreme Court 8 years ago. I covered this for this station. A pivotal vote by longtime Republican Susan Collins of Maine, according to NBC News, pushed Kavanaugh over the line in 2018 after she famously said he considered Roe v. Wade settled law. That turned out to be wrong. In 2022, Kavanaugh was the deciding vote in the 5-4 majority that overturned a landmark case, paving the way for abortion bans in many states. So they're going to try to say, well, if it were for Susan Collins, we wouldn't have Brett Kavanaugh. Well, you'd have had somebody. I don't know, but they're gonna try to really relitigate the whole Kavanaugh nomination process. Oh my goodness! Again, the guy is a thug. He is sort of a creep. There's a lot of things that are now on the record. His texting, his sexting, his tattoo has been talked about endlessly. This guy's just, I can't imagine that the people of Maine are going to vote for him, but we'll see. 21 minutes now past the hour of 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We have breaking news. The Pentagon is on lockdown right now. There's a problem with air quality within the Pentagon. We've got some more details for you on that coming up in the news here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, I'm looking at some details about the actual building itself. It was completed in 1943 during the Second World War in just 16 months. one of the world's largest office buildings, 23,000 employees, 6.5 million square feet of floor space, 17.5 miles of corridors. It has 5 sides to it and 5 rings. A ring is on the outside. It's the largest. And then as you go to the center, it's the E ring. And then there's a plaza, a garden area in the middle. Designed on this 5-acre plaza, so that the idea of this building was that no 2 points in the building would be more than a 7-minute walk from one to the other. That's pretty interesting. 7,754 windows. It has its own zip code. A self-contained city featuring dedicated metro station, police force, fire department, restaurants, barbershops. I mean, everything you need is right there at the complex.
22,000 employees.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of people.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing I'm reading here is this is on, if you know anything about the building, if it matters to you at all, floors 2 through 5. There are 5 floors above ground and 2 below. Floors 2 through 5, corridors 4 through 7 of the sprawling Pentagon complex have been locked down. And as you said earlier, police are seen in the building wearing gas masks and full chemical protection gear, which, you know, they're prepared for this over there. They've got everything in the world that you can imagine, but that's where we are right now. Just to repeat, some kind of incident at the Pentagon involving, they say, an air quality issue, and they've locked down certain wings of the Pentagon, and they're escorting people, saying people locked down and getting people out of certain areas. And the Arlington County Fire Department and EMS and hazardous material teams are there on the job assisting. Don't know anything more about it, but I got to tell you, the fact that I'm not seeing it on Fox, I'm not saying that it's not a story. I'm just saying I remember when I was in the newsroom at Fox how we would wait for confirmation of certain things, because many times you would see bomb threat, and you turn out to be nothing, and you determine it in about 20 seconds.
Well,
but
the line. It's best to be right and not first.
Yeah, I would always want to be first, even if I'm not. I would always want to be first if I'm right. I would rather be right and second than to be first and wrong.
Correct. Yep, absolutely. That's the mantra.
As Britt Hume used to say, Brian, you know, an exclusive is a good thing, but you don't want to be exclusively wrong.
Yes. That's good advice. Yeah.
That is good advice. So, again, we're watching it. Maybe something, maybe nothing. Sometimes in situations like this, there is a bit of an overreaction.
I do have a little more about
it. Understand we're all on edge anyway,
yeah,
right? I mean,
that's right.
You got to believe that the security levels at the Pentagon are higher than they might normally be, given the fact that we're in a state of war with a country that wants to do us harm. So I would imagine that everybody's on, what's the word? Tenterhooks. I think we're on tenterhooks.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the morning, and if Joan is going to jump in if there's any resolution to what's going on there. Right now, it is time for the news with Joan Jones at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories and more on that breaking news this morning. The Pentagon on lockdown right now. We are learning that some floors have been evacuated within the Pentagon. Here's Fox News' Harris Faulkner on what she's learned.
In the Pentagon's A ring, the centermost location inside that building. This is after air systems detected a problem with air quality in that part of the building. A device picked up a biohazard scent. The Pentagon source has told Fox News. Nothing has been found as of yet.
The Arlington first responders, as Brian mentioned, are on the scene there. One source telling CNN that the responders were wearing full gas masks and chemical protection suits. Now, some of the employees were told to evacuate, others to shelter in place. We'll keep an eye on this and have more on this as the incident plays out throughout the day. Democrats in the House of Representatives voting down a bill to pass a short-term extension of the FISA surveillance bill. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson.
The reason we have not had a mass casualty event like 9/11 since that great tragedy is because we have this statute. And today, the Democrats in the House just voted it down. 199 of them voted against it, and they applauded. They applauded when the statue went down.
Democrats voted it down over President Trump's nomination of Bill Pulte as the acting director of national intelligence until a new permanent director can be named. Metro Nashville Council taking up the issue of data centers again today after having passed a short-term moratorium on them at the last meeting. Now, that moratorium would need to pass 2 more times to take effect. Meantime, at Fisk University, some students there speaking out against a planned data center on campus. Here's one of those students speaking to WSMV4.
Just imagine what that would do to students who want to pull all-nighters, students who are maybe trying to get, rest before an exam or before a really important class in the morning. So I think just noise pollution alone would be very disruptive.
The university says the data center would enhance its technology footprint. And again, we'll have more on the breaking news this morning about the Pentagon being on lockdown because of a biohazard and materials incident there at the Pentagon. It has been parts of it have been evacuated. Some other employees they are told to shelter in place. We'll have more on it throughout the morning and all through the day as this incident continues to play out. That is the latest news. Stick around for your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 37 minutes now past the hour of 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, filling in for Chris Hand today and tomorrow. Be in for Dan next week. Hope you'll join us for those shows. Chris taking a couple of days off. We are monitoring the situation at the Pentagon where, you've got to believe that everybody's on high alert there because we're in a wartime footing against Iran. There are many people who want to do us harm. Apparently, the air scrubbing sensors, they have very sophisticated scrubbing sensors that scrub the air and look for potential hazards. They're probably looking for things like anthrax or some kind of chemical, or maybe looking for, I don't know, anything that could cause harm. But one way or the other, something has triggered one of those systems in the A-ring, the center ring of the Pentagon, and certain hallways and corridors have been shut down. 23,000 people at the Pentagon, and we got fire and hazmat people in there. Look, this can be something as a chemical got spilled in a kitchen area, or cleaning chemicals got spilled. It could be something like that. It could also be that they've picked up something nefarious, but no indication of that as yet. Trying to figure out exactly what it is. Here's the other thing I know, is the systems, when they detect something, they shut down, and then they have chemicals that they can put into the system to scrub the system. They are set up for that kind of. There are these air monitors in every major building in Washington, and the Pentagon, of course, no different. So just to recap, certain corridors at the Pentagon have been closed off. People are sheltering in place, and people are walking through the hallways. They've been seen there in full chemical hazmat suits, and with breathing apparatus, while they try to determine whether this is a real thing or not a real thing, or, but so far no indication that it's nefarious, but we really are in the very early going on all this. Joan Jones and Ken Weaver will be monitoring the situation in the newsroom, and I know I can count on Ken to jump right in should there be anything that's immediately needs to be reported while we're covering this other stuff. So stay right where you are. I promise you, if there is news to report out of this, I will stop whatever I'm doing and go straight there. In the meantime, I need to tell you, because I believe the truth is out there. There was a time when we used to laugh at these stories, but I don't know that we can laugh at them anymore, in that we've seen so much information that has slipped out about UAPs and what we have been learning from reverse engineered craft and non-human intelligence biologics that apparently have been recovered. I mean, to be honest with you, it sounds crazy to be saying some of this stuff. But there are so many very credible people who are now saying, yes, UFOs are real. Yes, we have encountered non-human intelligence. And we've been trying for many, many years to reverse engineer some of the craft that we have been able to recover, crashed craft that may have been left for us to find one way or the other. And now it appears that if you ask the American people where they are, most Americans, or a majority of Americans, now believe that extraterrestrial life exists, and some believe that it is already here. This is from CBS News. We are not alone in space, maybe not on Earth, and at least that's what the public believes. Most Americans believe intelligence life exists on other planets, and 1 in 5 think they've already made contact with us. I'm among them. For those who don't think that's happened yet, many expect contact to come at some point in the future. The government released UFO files recently, has some Americans saying they've already been visited by extraterrestrial life. 8 in 10 believe the government knows more about the UFOs than it is telling. The percentage who believe that intelligent life exists on other planets has become more widespread in recent years. Looking back to 2010, fewer than half of all Americans believe that. And since that time, higher numbers of men, women, and people across all age groups and education levels now believe in the existence of intelligence life. I'm not sure how Washington would know it. They can't spot intelligent life if their life depended on it. People say they'd be more curious than scared about the prospects of meeting extraterrestrials should they come to Earth. But such contact also generates some anxiety. More would be nervous than be calm. 17% of Americans report having personally seen something they thought was a UFO. 17%. That is similar to what Gallup poll has shown in recent years, but a higher percentage than what their polling found in the 70s. More men than women report having seen a UFO. Could be because they are out in the remote areas, perhaps more than women. Men are. People who say they've seen what they believe was a UFO overwhelmingly think intelligent life exists. Most would be curious upon meeting such beings, with many also saying they would feel nervous and excited about the prospect. Americans are split on whether reports of UFOs might sometimes be caused by alien spacecraft visiting Earth, or always the result of human or natural activity that comes from the Earth. I mean, these numbers are pretty interesting. Most Americans have heard or read at least something about the federal government's release of files and videos related to unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, used to be known as UFOs, and 4 in 10 report watching some of the videos that have been released. 3 in 10 say the material has made them more likely to believe that the aliens visited Earth, a figure that rises to 4 in 10 among those who have watched the videos. If you saw the videos, you're more likely to believe. A big majority of the government is not telling us all it knows about UFOs. They had an event on the Capitol grounds with some of the people who have been whistleblowers and some members of Congress who have been fighting for the release of information about UAPs in a bigger way. We are probably due to get another batch tomorrow, which, by the way, coincides with another UAP element of this story, the fact that we're about to see Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. That's tomorrow as well. It's released to the public for public consumption tomorrow. And Spielberg has been out there saying that, this is more truth than fiction. The man who brought you E.T., the man who brought you Close Encounters of the Third Kind, is bringing you Disclosure Day. People who've seen it rave about the movie just as a good movie to see. I guarantee you I'm going to be trying to go see it tomorrow at some point after the show that I'm doing for Chris, but I'm definitely going to go over there and try to see it because I think it's very interesting, and it's a Spielberg movie. But one way or the other, he's saying, look, there's a lot more truth here than there is fiction, and he's been reticent to talk about the third act of the movie. In fact, I think people who have seen the movie have been told, please don't give away the third act, the third sort of the conclusion, the what they call the climax and the anticlimax is the third act of most films. So he says that's going to be interesting to see. So there's that. All kinds of stories out there about this kind of stuff. Hype about aliens, UAP, and disclosures isn't what it appears to be, is an interesting article in The Federalist. What if UAP sightings and alien abduction accounts aren't evidence of extraterrestrial life, but of supernatural life? There are many people who believe this. Look, I don't know what it is. I think there is something out there. I think some of the things that you've seen on these videos, I think that they are our reverse engineered technology. I believe that the triangular shaped craft with the 3 lights or 4 lights, I think those are ours. I think that's reverse engineered technology. I believe the Tic Tac is ours. But there's all kinds of weird things. Some people are saying these are interdimensional beings. Some people are saying, that they're angels or demons. What was the term that was used the other day at that press conference? Some kind of plasmoidal sentient life form? What is that? I don't know. But there's a lot of weird stuff that's popping up out there. The problem is that I think a lot of stuff that's dropping in, I think the other day Japan released a bunch of information. I think Australia released a bunch of information. Other countries, France, I think was the one that came to mind. A lot of countries are releasing information about what they have in their files on UAP, UFOs, and the United States is poised to do more. The president says he's going to do more, but so far what's been released has been a little lackluster, and I think there's the holy crap moment has not yet happened. Best I can tell. There are said to be some videos out there that if you saw them, it would just blow your mind. Jaw-dropping stuff. And we're trying to find out more about that. So, look, we're in a weird period of time where we're getting a lot of information from the government. I don't think anybody who looks at all of the information can come away with any conclusion other than we have been visited. We did capture some craft. There are too many very credible people now saying that we recovered non-human intelligent biologics, whatever that means. The people who are saying this are not a bunch of yahoos who are drinking beer in the swamp. These are government officials, high-ranking scientists, admirals, senators, members of Congress, who have seen the videos that are still classified from the rest of America. So I don't know. I'm an agnostic on it. I'm fascinated by the topic, perhaps morbidly so. I think it's a very interesting, one of the great stories of our time, and it seems like we're on the precipice of learning a lot more about that. All that being said, I believe we're probably not going to see everything, because why? Well, because we've been reverse engineering some of this stuff for many, many years, maybe since the 40s. And so have the Russians, and so have the Chinese, and who knows who else. There is a national security interest in keeping what we have developed secret from them. So I don't think we're going to get a lot of information about the reverse engineering. I don't think we're going to get a lot of information about the kinds of craft that we now have available to us. But I think there's some stuff out there that is mind-blowing that we are in possession of. The question is, where are the Japanese? Where are the Russians? Where are the Chinese? Where are some of these other major countries that may also have been trying to reverse engineer this stuff? We're pretty good at it. We got the Lockheed Skunk Works, and we know what we're doing. So I'm sure we've got a lot of stuff out there that we're not talking about, and there have been some evidence of that captured by people who follow this stuff a lot more closely than I do. But I'm not sure exactly. We may not get a lot about the reverse engineering, but we ought to get some information about, have we been visited, and have we recovered non-human intelligence biologics? In other words, aliens. And what are interdimensional beings anyway? I'm not quite sure I understand that. It's fascinating. It's mind-blowing. The science on all this stuff is way above most people. So what we really need is somebody who can, as this stuff comes out, explain it in terms that average people can understand. When you start talking about things like quantum entanglement, and interdimensional beings, and the fact that there may be, like the Matrix, many, many dimensions of which we are not aware, that are right there, but we just can't see them, we can't sense them. I read a thing the other day I thought very interesting, that our ability to observe things with our eyes and hear things with our ears covers only a small fraction of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, bumblebees see in ultraviolet. They can see things we can't see. There are snakes, reptiles, they see infrared. We can't see in the infrared. But it goes way beyond that. And the question many people are asking are there dimensions of which they're there? We just can't see them. We can't sense them. I don't know. I talked to my pastor about it. He said, well, there are a lot of things in the Bible that suggest that angels come from a different dimension. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in the days ahead. 51 minutes now past the hour of 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Pentagon on a partial shelter in place. The House of Representatives blocking a short-term extension of a key U.S. surveillance law. And the CEO of one of the biggest artificial intelligence companies in the world out with a new warning. These stories and more coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, that's Ken Weaver. He was taking over in the news closet over there. Good morning to you, Ken.
What's going on, Big Brother Brian?
Yeah, doing well, and things
sounding
going well
great
with
as
you.
usual, brother.
Yeah, we're watching the situation at the Pentagon. Anything new that you can report?
Nothing new, man. Apparently, part of it is still shelter in place. Other parts have been cleared, but pretty much all we know so far is what everybody's reporting is something detected, a possible biohazard.
Yeah, they have sensors that monitor the air all over. They're sniffers that sniff the air constantly, and they're designed to shut down air handling systems and that kind of stuff if it picks up anything unusual. So I'm assuming that's what has happened here. A sensor has gone off. We've got the Arlington Fire Department and a lot of people at the Pentagon there. It's a small city, really. I mean,
You've been there, right? I mean,
I've been there more than I care.
You lived there practically.
I did during the original and second Persian Gulf War. I covered it from the Pentagon. I was there a lot. And occasionally we'd go in and out. I wasn't a full-time Pentagon reporter, but during times of conflict back in the day before, for example, Fox had a full-time Pentagon correspondent.
Yes, sir.
We just had producers over there. They would send me in and I would end up covering, major events for days and days. It's a huge place. It's gotten a lot tighter in recent days for reporters to move around the building. There used to be you could, if you had the right pass, and I never had the right pass, but if you had the right pass, you had complete access to all elements of the building. Under the Trump administration, they've changed that. Mm-hmm. And so you can't just wander aimlessly around the building. So that makes it a little more difficult for somebody to, say, walk down from the press offices where the press are located at the Pentagon down to the A-ring to see what's going on. You're just not going to be able to do that anymore.
Yes,
so
sir.
It is a huge building, and apparently they are testing a substance. And according to Fox News reporters who have talked to people inside the building, the Pentagon is taking the matter very, very seriously.
Well, in this day and age, Brother Brian, we've got to, man.
Got to, absolutely.
I mean,
we
you
don't
mentioned
know
it
what
earlier.
we have.
You mentioned it earlier, dude. You said we are in some weird times.
We are. We truly are. So we don't know exactly what it is, but we're on it. Ken Weaver up next with the news at 11 o'clock. You're listening to The Chris Hand Show. I am Brian Wilson filling in.
$11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Well, the Pentagon is in a partial shelter-in-place order for several floors after a reported air hazard situation. This, according to several officials. ABC's Catherine Falders with more on what we know right now.
From the Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell, who said that the Pentagon is monitoring systems that they detected an air quality issue, and it prompted precautionary measures while officials work to determine the source and extent of the problem.
Yeah, so some personnel have been told to shelter in place. Other areas have been cleared. So far, no reports of any health issues or injuries. We'll keep you advised. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has blocked a short-term extension of a key U.S. surveillance law. Lawmakers rejecting the measure to renew Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA. That's in a 218 to 198 vote. Democrats opposed the extension over President Trump's plan to appoint ally Bill Pulte as acting intelligence chief. The failure puts the spying authority on track to expire for the first time in nearly 2 decades. And the CEO of one of the biggest artificial intelligence companies in the world is out with a new warning on the potential dangers of this technology in the wrong hands. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei is raising a red flag about the dangers of the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence.
We need to collect better data on what's happening.
In a lengthy essay, Amodei, whose AI company is valued at nearly $1 trillion, says the release of AI models should be blocked or reversed as a threat to public safety if they do not meet high standards of safety.
I think the justified anger comes from the fact that there are real risks to this technology. Now we're proposing stronger regulation of the technology.
And Amodei believes that this tech is more good than bad, but he says that he's still concerned about the risks.
It's just what economists were not hoping for. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits unexpectedly rose last week. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
Analysts were anticipating a decline of about 5,000 in the number of first-time jobless applications. Instead, the figure went from 225,000 filings 2 weeks ago to 229,000 last week. Jobless claims are seen as an indicator of layoff activity. They're approaching their high for the year.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
Welcome back, everyone. It's 11:05 on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and retired radio buddy, and filling in for Chris Hand today. I'll be back here tomorrow, and I'll be in for Dan all next week. Dan's going to take some time off, so I hope that you'll tune in. We can catch up. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we've had any time together, and I look forward to our time together. This is the third and final hour of the Chris Hand Show for Thursday, June 11th. The breaking news at this hour is what's happening at the Pentagon. The Pentagon is on some level of lockdown because the sensors that monitor the air quality inside the building through the air handlers and other things apparently have gone off. The Pentagon is taking it seriously. They say that the biohazard sensor did go off, and they've got people walking around the A ring of the Pentagon. The innermost ring, the smallest of the rings, is where this seems to be centrally located. And what they're trying to do is figure out what is the substance. Is it what we think it might be? And then, or is it something non-nefarious? Like, I don't know, cleaning chemicals that got spilled, or something that happened in the cooking area. Who knows? I mean, these things happen.
Hey, Brother Brian.
Yes, sir.
Are there labs in the Pentagon?
You know, I don't know all the things that are in the Pentagon. I mean, you could work there every day and not see every inch of that building.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised. There's some pretty high level stuff in there. Could be some labs. I would think that most of that stuff would be off site.
Right.
This is 23,000 people. Some of them military, some of them civilian, many of them contractors that are all there. It is basically. There are two places like this in Washington that are sort of self-contained cities within a city. One of them is the Capitol complex.
Yes, sir.
Which is many square blocks, and I mean, you could go to the Capitol complex and there's hardly anything that you couldn't find there that you need. I mean, get grocery stores, shops, barber shops. I mean, you name it, you can find it.
Right.
at the Capitol complex. And the other one is the Pentagon. It's self-contained because, except one of the weirdest things that I found was it was hard to get food late at night. When I was working during covering the war, the Persian Gulf War, number 1 and number 2, the thing I would have to do every night was order a pizza. And then I had to go to a certain door and pick it up, and that's what I ate night after night after night after night, because the only thing I could get delivered at the time.
Interesting.
I gained like 20 pounds covering that war.
Oh, I bet.
Because I was cramming pizza every night. But it's like a small city, and so I can understand why they are carefully looking at this and trying to figure out exactly what it might be or what it might not be.
Yeah.
I will say that the vast majority of these things over time turn out to be nothing.
Right.
But we have had things like anthrax that got into the system one time over at the Capitol. That happened, and people had to be on all kinds of medication. And anthrax is apparently very easy to manufacture if you've got the right components. So I don't know. The thing that it's at the innermost ring, was it something that got brought in? Then it had to get brought through the security system on the outside. Had to go through all kinds of security stuff. Nobody comes to that building without having their background checked.
Yes, sir.
So my instinct, my guess, and it's a guess, is that we'll find out at the end of the day this wasn't much. But I hope that's the case. But we're on it and we're watching it, and you'll break in if you find out anything new, right?
All right, brother. I'll do it.
All right. I want to talk about the situation in Iran. The president says Karg Island is a possibility. Doesn't really want to do it, but he might have to go in there. One thing he's doing right now is that there have been some pretty substantial kinetic action between Iran and the United States and Israel.
So we'll see what happens. But we hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today, in case you miss it, in case you don't turn on your television set. And we'll see what happens with the deal. We were really close to a deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers because, you know what? They dealt with some very stupid presidents. I have to say that. I'm embarrassed to say it. Some very stupid people were sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think that the Iranians have been playing along. They're playing for time. They're dragging their toes. If I were in Iran, and I'm trying to look at it from their perspective, I don't think they have the right position, but let's just look at it from their perspective for a moment. It would be in their interest to drag their feet every step of the way, because the longer that you drag your feet, the more time you have to rebuild that which has been destroyed. Dig stuff out. And get ready for another wave. Now, we destroyed a lot of their missiles, but not all of them. We have destroyed a lot of their drone-making capability, but not all of it. And they got a lot of drones sitting in caves in places that we don't know anything about. And they're very effective and cheap. So I don't think they are still something to be concerned about, but not overly so. We have air superiority. I would say we have air supremacy. We can go in there and conduct our operations with impunity. I do believe that. So will we go into Carg Island? The president said today he doesn't think that the American people would have the patience for boots on the ground or want to see that happen, but it's something that he considers. And he's again explaining that the reason that they had to do this, the reason that we had to stop in the midst of economic growth and prosperity to do this and drive up the cost of gasoline and therefore inflation. Yes, he said there are some downsides to all this, but there are also downsides to Iran getting a nuclear weapon and destroying Israel. There is a downside to them having missiles that they can marry if they got nuclear weapons that would put all of the capitals of Europe under threat. If they get a nuclear weapon, they will hold the world hostage. We cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And if you explain that to people, I think they're a lot more understanding about paying more for gas and natural gas and diesel. By the way, West Texas Intermediate crude is down a bit today, $89 a barrel. Brent crude, $92. Average price, this is where you live, isn't it? Average price for a gallon of gas in Nashville is $3.68 a gallon. The national average is $4.13. But listen to this. This is really interesting. Some of the cheapest gas I found in our area, Wilson County, $3.55 a gallon. I saw some for $3.49. This is average price. Wilson County, $3.55 a gallon. If you go to Davidson County, you drive into Davidson County, and the average price of gas is 20 cents a gallon more, $3.75 a gallon. And if you go to Williamson County, and again, this is an average price, I'm sure you can find stuff cheaper, it's $4.16. In other words, the gas in Williamson County is 61 cents a gallon more expensive than the gasoline in Wilson County. In fact, in Williamson County, gasoline is more expensive than the national average of $4.13 a gallon. I know I go off on a tangent on that, but I mean, I'm shocked that I can get a gallon of gas in Wilson County for 60 cents less a gallon than I can in Williamson County. Isn't that something? That's according to AAA, numbers I looked at earlier this morning. And I think probably gas prices are down a little bit below these numbers, but those were the averages the last time they averaged. But again, yes, the economy has taken a hit. We are, as Republicans, in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, justifiably concerned about the upcoming midterm elections and how the economy is going to figure into all that. You know what they say, it's the economy stupid. So the question is, is this all designed to get Iran back to the table? We're said to be tantalizingly close to some kind of deal. But the last time we sent something back to them saying we need this and we need this, they went silent for 2 weeks. They're dragging their feet. Trump is talking tough, and I think he doesn't want to go in there and destroy bridges and infrastructure and the electrical grid and all of that, because you could literally bomb those folks in Iran back to the Stone Ages. But that would alienate the people who live in Iran, and we're not out to alienate them. We're just out to make sure that they don't get a nuclear weapon. That's it. I don't know how this is going to play out. The long and short of it is that in Iran, we've got a lot of things going on there. We are apparently getting a lot of oil and natural gas out of the Strait of Hormuz now. Here is the president. He was asked about inflation numbers. He said he's not bothered particularly. In fact, I think he said I love the inflation number. Don't think I would have said that, but that's what he said. But then he went on.
The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be, we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombers.
Yeah, and you know where it went from there. Look, I think he's right, and he's got to be much better. In fact, the entire Trump operation has got to be a lot better about explaining to the American people why this is necessary. I mean, everybody is, you know, I think the numbers show that we're pretty much a divided nation as to where people are with the war in Iran. I know that there are conservatives who don't think that we ought to be involved in this war with Iran. I know that there are liberals who believe that Trump should not be involved in this war with Iran, and great criticism of him. But you know what? They would have criticized Donald Trump if he had not done anything and Iran had developed a nuclear weapon. Can you imagine the hue and cry, the wailing and the gnashing of teeth from Democrats if Iran had been allowed to get a nuclear weapon? Why wasn't Trump on this? Why wasn't Trump being vigilant and monitoring what was going on in Iran? I mean, you can imagine how they would be screaming bloody murder if he didn't do this. So he's damned if he did. He's damned if he doesn't. I think that he had to go in there, but I think it would really be very helpful if this administration would spend some time explaining why it was so important and the ramifications of what would have happened if Iran had developed a nuclear weapon and the capability to put it on top of a rocket that can fly 4,000 kilometers. And do you think they would stop there? Of course not. No, they would develop an intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach the entire world, and then the entire world would be held hostage by Iran. Is that what you want? Yes, gas prices are high. Yes, food is going up a little bit. And yes, inflation is at 4%, certainly not where it was at 9% with Biden. But it's up there, and people are recognizing it. They get reminded of it every time they fill up their tank. I get it. It ain't easy. But the bottom line is, how much worse would things have been if Iran had been allowed to get a nuclear weapon? And that is the argument that I don't think we're hearing enough of from the White House, because I think most people, if you give them the facts, they will come around to having, I mean, some people are never going to take any fact that you get from the White House and accept it, but I think a lot more people would be on board with this if they could only understand it and understand why we're doing it. I do hope that they wrap it up quick. I hope that there's a lot of interest in doing that so that we can get the economy in shape for the midterm elections. But if it comes down to losing the House or Senate, or Iran having a nuclear weapon, one of these things is bad politically. One of these things is disastrous for the world. Truly disastrous. 20 minutes now past the hour of 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
Pentagon under a partial shelter in place. A major U.S. surveillance program is now in jeopardy, and Iran war. Might there be a deal? And the CEO of one of the biggest artificial intelligence companies in the world out with a new warning. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour of 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, in for Chris Hand, who'll be back on Monday. Watching what's happening at the Pentagon, I'm reading a Fox News report that says that Secretary Pete Hegseth's office and Chairman of the Joint Chief General Dan Kane, their offices are not located in the A corridor. It's out in the E ring, out on the what they call the river entrance. Been there many times. Apparently, air handling systems detected, quote, a problem with the air quality in that part of the building, and a device picked up a biohazard scent. We have very sophisticated sniffers that are constantly checking the air in Washington for things like, biohazardous chemicals, any kind of biochemical attack. They're all over the place. You see them. If you know what you're looking for, you see them everywhere on top of every major government building along the what they call the monumental core of Washington, D.C. And they're there, and they're constantly sniffing. And I'm sure that at the Pentagon right now, they are on high alert. But as they say here in this story, nothing has yet been found. That doesn't mean they won't. It doesn't mean that it's real. And the concerns are very valid given the fact that we're in a wartime footing, and that's where the war is run out of. I can understand why they'd be on high alert.
And I think the secretary is still at CENTCOM in Florida, if I'm not
He may be,
mistaken.
he may be down in Florida. That's right. Because I know he was there yesterday.
Yes, sir.
So there we go. In Washington as well, Donald Trump is the construction manager in chief. I don't know what you want to call him, the architect in chief. He's trying to build a brand new ballroom at the White House. He just got through refurbishing the reflecting pool that runs between the Washington and Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and boy, I tell you, that looks good. Did it for $13 million, a lot cheaper than anybody thought he could do it, and he did it in very short order. He brought his pool guy in from Oklahoma City. And what amazed me is it looks great. And they were losing, I forgot, 40,000 gallons of water a day was leaking out of the thing. So they sealed the leaks. They put a new paint, a new coating on it. It's very, very dark blue, almost black. And it reflects, and the whole idea of the reflection pool is to make sure it reflects the Washington Monument, and it is gorgeous to be at the Lincoln Memorial and to look down the mall and to see the Washington Monument reflected back through the pool there. It really is something. I just couldn't believe that people were critical of something that needed to be fixed. It was nothing. It was full of mud and algae and goose poop. I mean, it was disgusting. And he fixes it, and all that people on the other side can do is complain. Well, he didn't have authority. I don't like the color. It looks a little too blue for me. And it doesn't. It looks like a mirror. That's all. It's very, very dark blue, almost black. So I don't understand it. But now he wants to build an arch. Trump's arch construction, according to ABC News, to run 20 hours a day for 2 to 3 years. I think he would like to have that arch done before he leaves office. Runs 20 hours a day, 2 to 3 years. Documents show to complete Donald Trump's triumphal arch by the time he leaves office. Construction would run 20 hours a day over the next 2 to 3 years. National Park Service released design renderings and reports related to the planned arch, looking for public comment. Oh, they'll hate it. They hate everything that he does. Because the arch is intended to celebrate 250 years of American independence, smaller heights were not considered. So it's unlike the 250-foot arch proposed in the undertaking, One of the reports said about the side of the project being challenged in federal court, lawsuits challenging the arch and the project, like Trump's White House ballroom, etc., etc., etc. Be made out of concrete and clad with U.S.-sourced granite. 320 feet tall, would be taller than the U.S. Capitol building. How about that? Really something. All right, time for the news. When we come back in just a moment, I want to talk about a friend who has passed from the scene that means a great deal to me, a name you may have known, and a real Nashville story. It's all straight ahead. Right now, the news with Ken Weaver on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, we've got a problem in Wilson County. A crash is leaving 40 eastbound down to only one lane open right before Mount Juliet Road. That's 40 eastbound, only one lane open there before Mount Juliet Road. And the Pentagon has gone into a partial shelter in place for several floors today. This after a reported air hazard situation inside the building. ABC's Catherine Falders with more on what questions they're hoping to answer.
When something happens in a building, such as the Pentagon, the departments, the police department will send in their hazmat team as they work to determine what exactly has happened. Now, what we don't know is we don't know why the systems in the Pentagon detected an air quality issue that needed to necessitate these precautionary measures. They said they are working to determine its significance.
Yeah. Now, some of the Pentagon is being cleared, other places still in shelter in place, and there have been no reports of any adverse health effects or injuries. A major U.S. surveillance program now in jeopardy after a House vote today. Speaker Mike Johnson, after lawmakers failed to pass an extension of the FISA Section 702 authority.
We did everything within our power to try to ensure that this statute does not expire, and the Democrats are using it as a political hostage.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats have been very clear they weren't going along as long as President Trump's new pick for Director of National Intelligence, Bill Pulte, sticks.
To Republicans in the Congress, and certainly to the administration, that in order to get back to good faith negotiations about surveillance authority, the proposed elevation of Bill Pulte needs to be reversed.
Even some Republicans raise concerns. Iran war, might there be a deal? ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers.
The president had said yesterday that there was an agreement that was fully negotiated, that all that needed to happen was for Iran to sign off on it. And he was, of course, putting pressure on Iran to do just that. Now today, he was sort of walking back his pressure campaign, saying, quote, that I'd like to get a deal, but he said, I'd like to get a deal now less than 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And the CEO of one of the biggest artificial intelligence companies in the world out with a new warning on the potential dangers of this technology in the wrong hands.
We need to collect better data on what's happening, right? There's been a lot of debate about what's happening in the labor market with AI now.
That's speaking to ABC's Lindsay Davis there after publishing a lengthy op-ed calling for stronger safeguards for AI-driven technology. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It is 37 minutes now past the hour of 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian Wilson in for Chris Hand. This is the Chris Hand Show. Be back on Monday. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here all next week filling in for Dan Mandis. Hope that you'll join us for that. We're watching a breaking story here this morning out of the Pentagon. The Pentagon is on lockdown. Parts of it are on lockdown as they have the sensors there in the building have picked up some kind of biohazard scent, and the entire A ring apparently locked down. This is the center of the smallest of the 5 concentric rings at the Pentagon, the one that is on surrounds the sort of the great plaza or patio that they have there, and they're trying to figure out what it is. We don't really have any full feeling about what it is as yet, but it is under investigation. We got Ken Weaver in the newsroom, and he will jump right in and bring us up to speed if there are any new developments in that particular story. I'm getting the sense that it may not be a big deal, but it's very early on, and we'll just go with what the information as it comes. In the meantime, a point of personal privilege, if you don't mind. There are many people who come to Nashville because of the music, and they end up doing other things over the passage of time. It's a classic thing that happens in Nashville, and I want to tell you the story of one such guy who became a friend of mine. His name is Billy Dungy. Lives here in bucolic Watertown with me, or near Watertown. His wife has a business here in town. Her name is Becky, and got to know Becky and Billy quite well, and we share the same church pew most Sundays. And he leads the music at our church, or helps to lead the music. He passed away recently, unexpectedly, of a massive heart attack. And I just thought it was interesting to point out his story because it's like a lot of people who come to Nashville. Billy Dungy performed professionally under the name Jesse Hunter. Born and raised in Shelby County in the north side of Memphis, he spent his summers rodeoing and showing horses. Winters he spent playing music. He attended Raleigh Egypt High School. His real education, however, happened in the local music venue, where he often used a fake ID to get in. His first paid studio gig was playing the blues harmonica on a record under the name Billy Ray, because producers didn't want anybody to know who he was. He earned local success as a singer and songwriter, and his first recording was Mastercraft Studios in Memphis in 1980. Moved to Nashville in 83 at the age of 24, working a land surveying job. So many people who come here to chase the music dream, do other things while they're here. Land surveying job during the day, spending evenings as a local singer and songwriter venues like the Bluebird Cafe and many others. Landed a job for songwriting at Ray Baker Music in 85, Merritt Music in 86. That same year, he left Nashville for 6 months to perform the Virgin Islands in Europe. Played some amazing venues, saw many exotic places, renewed his musical energy as he returned to the competitive Nashville music scene. Big break came in 91, signed with Screen Gems Music. B&A Records followed. By 94, he had another album out called A Man Like Me. He toured and performed with such artists, are you ready for this? Tim McGraw, Waylon Jennings, Brooks and Dunn, Charlie Daniels, Wynonna Judd, Toby Keith, so many others. He met Becky in 91. His daughter came along a little bit later in 1999, and it was then he decided that he would discontinue touring and focus on a young family and life at home. He invested in our community here in bucolic Watertown. He was well known by everyone, loved by everyone, and today we're holding his funeral. And I'm very saddened by this. He was a good guy, told horrible, corny jokes, but a really, really, really good guy, and we'll miss him. Billy Dungy professionally performed as Jesse Hunter. Rest in peace. It is, let's call a break here, and I'll come back for a longer segment in just a moment. 42 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and this morning we are out and about at my house, my brand new house that I've been talking about on the radio, with Nate from USS. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm excellent. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
We invited Nate out. Now, obviously, when you're a new homeowner, especially when you buy a house that's got a few years on it, you don't know what you're dealing with in terms of foundation. And I know that Nate knows a lot more about what I don't see and what I don't know about than I do. So bring the experts out and get them to check out your house. Hey guys, Matt Murphy again with Nate with USS, and Nate has just wrapped up kind of a look at the house. And Nate, what'd you find?
Well, your house is in pretty good shape for the age of it. I had to look pretty hard to find.
Okay.
Your house being on a slope like it is here, I think we could do a lot of good by trying to terminate your downspouts a little
Okay.
further from the house there.
Okay.
Roof water is the killer of foundations, and so if we can just get it to a positive grade to drain away from your house, I think that's real cheap insurance.
You want to kind of get it out and downhill.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
So
the idea.
make sure that it doesn't come right back down towards the foundation walls and causing issues, settlement or leakage.
Now, if folks are watching this video and they are like, we need to get Nate out to the house to do a look. I mean, it took, I watched you do it. It's, 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
To do a comprehensive kind of an examination around the house. And they just give you a call and schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call our main phone number, or you can call reach USSTN.com and
Sure.
schedule right through the website there. Our girls in the call center will get back to you just about immediately, as long as it's during business hours. So
this just makes a lot of sense, folks, for you guys to do an examination of your house like we've done, to check it out. I'm going to get those gutters done with Nate and his team at USS, and then we'll do a video and let you know how those look at the end of all of this. So thank you, guys.
Hey, that'd be great.
We appreciate you, brother.
Matt,
All
we
right.
appreciate you.
It is 47 minutes now past the hour. The last few minutes of the Chris Hand Show on this Thursday, June 11th. Brian Wilson in the chair for Chris, who will be back on Monday. And Chad Benson is going to be with us here in just a few moments. By the way, I mentioned my friend Billy Dungy. If you want to attend his funeral, if you were a friend of Billy's, 5 o'clock at Round Lake Baptist Church here in Bucolic, Watertown. So that'll all be starting at 5 o'clock this afternoon down at Round Lake Baptist Church. All right, want to talk a little bit about the economics of the situation, because it's the economy stupid midterm elections, but also what's going on in the world of home sales. Interesting thing here. This is from Newsmax. U.S. home sales surged to fastest pace this year despite rising mortgage rates and prices. Existing home sales rose 3.2% in May from the previous month to a seasonally adjusted rate of 4.17 million units. Sales rose 3.2% compared with May. Home sales increased from a year earlier in the Midwest, the South, the West, but they fell in the Northeast, according to the National Association of Realtors. Latest figures topped the roughly 4.07 million pace economists were expecting, so better than expected, just slightly. Home prices continued to rise nationally last month. See, this is the good news. I mean, if you need to sell your home, it's definitely a buyer's market right now. But the bottom line is your home, even in the tough economic times that we've been in, has continued to grow in value, even with the high interest rates. Home values have really continued to climb slowly but surely. Sales rose last month, even as mortgage rates have continued to mostly trend higher this spring. They remain below where they were a year ago. Home prices continued to rise nationally. U.S. median sales up 1.3%. Well, there we go. Mentioned the economy and all of that. Inflation heated up to 4.2% in May as energy costs continued to bite. I don't think it's going to be there much longer. I really do believe that we're on the precipice of wrapping things up in Iran. We might have to bop the bully on the nose a couple of more times, but I think that will happen. Gas prices have come down. Oil prices have come down, but not where they need to be, and that's causing inflation to still rise, 4.2%. In a perfect world, I mean, when you think about it, yeah, there's inflation, and yeah, your gasoline is costing you more, and yes, it's impacting other things. There's no doubt about that, and I wouldn't try to argue otherwise. But the bottom line is, in a perfect world, we are well satisfied with 2% inflation. So we're at 4.2%. I mean, it's not like it was during the Biden days when it was at 9%. So, you know, if you take food and energy, those are the most volatile. It's not near as bad. The core things are only rose about 2.9% from the year earlier. But here's what I'll say about all that. In the world of politics, your perception is perhaps more important than reality. Maybe that things are not going up dramatically as you feel that they are, but it doesn't matter what the facts are if people feel like they're spending more money and that the economy is not working for them. I mean, everything else seems to be looking like it's okay. Home sales are okay, given, the interest rates. And by the way, I don't know that we're ever going to see, 2% mortgages again, or even 4% mortgages for a while. Historically, that was the abnormal thing. That was the thing that you didn't see very often. That we had that, and we got used to it for a long time. Now it seems like nobody wants to pay the interest. I paid 12% interest at one point for a home. I can tell you, wasn't happy about it either. But inflation continues to go up, and I think it's going to be resolved in very short order. Once we get clear of Iran, everything else seems to be poised, as far as I can tell. Everything is just ready to go. The economy is juiced, and if we can just get the price of gasoline down, I think that you're going to see a remarkable economic recovery. The question is, from a political standpoint, can you get it done in time to, have a time of peaceful prosperity before the midterm elections? What really matters in midterm elections, mark my word on this, is where people are, where their heads are with regard to the economy on Labor Day. Labor Day, Labor Day, Labor Day. As we are on Labor Day is likely how we will see the midterm elections turn out. And on that note, I'll call it 52 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Oh, there's no break there? Oh. Okay, so we're going all the way to 59.50. Okay, sorry about that. Did not know that. Sorry. Excuse me. Everybody's got a different format around here. Here's another element to the economic story that I think is interesting. 13 million U.S. homeowners face potential capital gains taxes. Because your value has gone up. If you sell your home, you have to pay capital gains on top. But here's the thing you didn't know, perhaps. In 1997, the Taxpayer Relief Act was passed. Individuals receive a $250,000 tax-free exemption of capital gains on the sale of a primary residence. If you're a married couple, guess what? $500,000. At the same time, the U.S. housing market has seen substantial growth, with median home prices rising from $129,000 in 1997 to $417,000 at the end of April. So if you've been in your house for quite a while, chances are you're above the $250,000 mark in capital gains and above the $500,000 mark in capital gains for married couples. And that means that a lot of people, about 13.1 million people, roughly 15% of homeowners, hold unrealized capital gains exceeding the current exclusion limit. You with me so far? That's about 51% of the homeowners in Hawaii. 43.6% in California, 36.2% in Massachusetts, 29.9% in Washington State. What do all those things have in common? I mean, what? California, District of Columbia, Massachusetts, Washington State. Majority of owner-occupied homes in San Diego, San Jose, Honolulu. San Jose, 63% of the houses have unrealized capital gains. So, good news, bad news. The good news is if you have a home, chances are the home has gone up in value dramatically. And if you can sell it in this buyer's market, you can do all right. You're probably going to put some equity, have some equity to deal with when you go to your next home or try to pay off bills. If you are single, $250 is the exclusion. You can make up to $250,000 and not pay capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary residence. If you're married, it's $500,000, $500,000 on your primary residence. So, there you go. Okay, we ready to move on to the next thing? I'm sorry. We ready for Chad?
Yeah, if you want to go across to Chad.
I'm sorry. I'm really blowing the last bit of it here. Hey, Chad, how are you, bud?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right. You got the show coming up here next. I'm botching up the format. I'm botching up the rundown.
You did such a great tribute to your friend. I think it was that was so. You should have dropped it there and said, "Just get Chad in here. I'm done."
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, he was a good guy, and you know what I find about this is his story is emblematic of a lot of people who come to Nashville, and they get into the music business, and man, it's a tough business. It's a tough business, and some people succeed, and some people fight it for a long, long time. And when he got married, he decided, well, I got to take care of my family, and that's what happens to a lot of people who come here to do country music. They end up getting married and getting involved, and they need to to go out there and provide for their family. And sometimes it's really hard. And he did that. His love of music was fulfilled. He continued to love music and still does and still did. And leads part of the music one of the leaders of our music in our church, which is a great outlet for that stuff. But Absolutely. A really great guy. I loved him dramatically. I loved him very, very much. He was a good guy. If you think I tell corny jokes, though.
He was the king? He was the king of the corn?
He was the king of the corniest jokes I ever heard in my life. And this afternoon at his funeral, late this afternoon, we're going to send him off, and I've been asked to read some of his very bad jokes.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's a good thing. You know what, though? That is, it's a celebration, right?
It is a celebration of life.
Lived.
That's a life well lived. Exactly. Those are the words the exact words I intended to use. All right, so we got about 2 minutes left. Tell me what's coming up on the Chad Benson show today, Chad.
Well, we're probably to find out what's going on in the Pentagon. Is everybody okay over there? You worked there for how long, man?
Well, I was in and out of there. I went to, back in the day, we didn't have full-time Pentagon correspondents, many of us.
Yeah.
Fox News didn't for a long time. So if there was something going on over there, I would often be dispatched to the Pentagon to sort of, be a temporary Pentagon correspondent. I covered the Persian Gulf 1 and 2, and other things that happened over there. I remember many briefings with Colin Powell. It's a massive building. You have no idea how big that place is. It just almost defies description how big that place is.
It's a city. I tell everybody it's like the world's biggest mall. Hey, look, they've got. We were joking earlier. They got like their own HOA, and they've got people like a mini city council. All this kind of crazy stuff that goes on in there.
Yeah, it's got barbershops, it's got restaurants, it's got there's a flower shop there. There are stores. I mean, it is like anything you need. You don't have to leave the complex to get it, and that's sort of by design because people are there, and when things start to happen, they're working around the clock. They can't get out of the building. As I mentioned, I didn't have the Primo reporter pass. I had a temporary reporter pass, which didn't give me a lot of ability to move around the building. But until recently, reporters could walk all over that building.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's its own little world, and who knows what's going on. Double check, make sure everything's okay. We'll talk about a lot of different things. Obviously, what's going on in Iran, big deal. The latest inflation numbers, the whole big inflation numbers, not just the CPI. As we'll talk a bit about that, and the World Cup kicks off here in exactly 2 hours. So get pumped about that.
Exciting. The Chad Benson Show is coming up next. I'll be back here tomorrow, and again, I'll be here all next week filling in for Dan Mandis. Thank you so much for being with us here on this Thursday, June 11th. Time for the news with Ken Weaver.